The lightest part of this painting, lightest parts, is going to be, there's an area here around the nose and here that are really bright, and there's some fur here that's going to stay very bright as well. And the top of the head is very bright, and this edge along here. So we want to leave those nice and bright. A little bit of burnt umber in the ear here. First time I've used that in this painting, but it's another one of my favorite colors for pets. Using my splayed brush technique again. I'm just blending, softening this edge here. A lot of people have a hard time deciding what do I do next, but I'm just always scanning the image, and I really just go where my intuition leads me. I don't have any particular order that I do things. I usually save the eyes for last. Oftentimes for the whiskers, I will use a masking fluid and mark them out ahead of time. In this case, because this is such a small painting, it's only 5 by 7, I'm actually going to use mixed media technique. I'm going to use a white gel pen for those little wispy whiskers on the side, and that way I know that they will be perfectly skinny and nice and white. So at the very end, when the painting is dry, that'll be the very last thing I do. Alright, so I'm actually going to paint the eyes now. I'm going to switch brushes to a little skinnier one. This is a Gray Matters number 3 round brush. I'm going to wet it first. To create black, I use indigo mixed with burnt umber, sometimes burnt sienna. Creates a nice rich black. For a dark color, you have to make sure that your pigment outweighs your water. Again, it's that pigment-water ratio. So in this case, there's a lot of paint and not as much water, just enough to make it wet and flow under the brush for you a little easier, but very, very dark. I'm mixing it on my palette first, bringing my tip to a nice point, and we're going to dive in with the eyes. The reason I'm doing the eyes now is just so I have a point of comparison in values. I want to see this really dark black on my paper, so I know how much darker I need to go with the fur. Amazing what the eyes add. Our puppy is starting to come to life, and you can see it's a easy launching point once you've got the eyes in to start painting some fur details around the eyes. This corner of the eye, there's usually a point of sharp contrast where there's some bright fur intersecting with the dark corner of the eye. And that's okay because we want our viewer's eyes to be drawn to the puppy's eyes. That is the focal point of this painting. Anywhere that you have a really dark edge next to a white or light edge, that's going to instantly draw the viewer's eye to that spot. So right here you have a focal point, and that's good. That's where we want it. Okay, let's do the nose next. Painting the fur above the nose, you can see I've slowed way down, really taking my time, making sure my values and colors and brush strokes are all correct. You want to be really careful not to go too dark with any of these very fine brush strokes around the nose. And I even feel like those might have been a little too sharp, so I'm going to take some water, soften those. Bring in some shadow on the side here. Splaying my brush again for the fur right under the nose. For these details, I do use my smaller brush the majority of the time. And I'm leaving a little bit of white to hint at those white whiskers under the nose. Added a little bit of water here as I soften, get lighter towards the edge of this black area. And we're starting to see our puppy's expression. Too much water there, so dialing that back. Blot on the paper towel, dry my brush, and dry that area. You don't want your blues to run where they shouldn't. Checking my values in the nose again. Can go a little bit darker. Again, don't be afraid to go too dark, especially with the nose and eyes, your focal point. Over here, I'm effectively painting around where the whiskers are. And adding these little faint hints of lines around the muzzle. All these beautiful details. So much fun to paint. Okay, I can add a little bit more of my turquoise blue. So much color in white fur.